What up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Sylvester Aspires Belief Cast. Thank you once again for joining me. I'm so excited once again to have an amazing guest who has just an incredible story of overcoming adversity and addiction, and the list goes on there. And his name is Tyler Hansen. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Todd.
Yeah, you bet. I want to thank our sponsor, Veracity Networks. Thank you for believing in me and helping getting the word out with this Belief Cast. It truly has been a blessing, and it's allowed many, many people to hear such great stories, and it's inspired people to change. The response has been amazing, and just once again, listeners, thank you for believing in me and giving me this opportunity to bring great people on like Tyler to share their story. A little background on Tyler. He struggled with addiction. He spent 2.5 years in prison. I can't wait to hear more about that. He's been sober now for over 8 years. He is pursuing his master's in social work. He's received a degree in psychology, and he's also a licensed advanced substance use disorder counselor in the state of Utah. He donates his time at RISE. It's a program in the Utah County Jail, which is an amazing program, by the way, and I want our listeners to get to know more about that as well. He's a member of the Utah County Sheriff's Office. He's on the board of directors at the Utah Harm Reduction Coalition. He's also one of the owners of Steps, and we'll talk about that as well. He has 5 amazing kids, a beautiful wife, and he spends his spare time with them, and we'll talk about them as well. So, Tyler, thank you for taking the time and joining me today.
Thanks for having me on, Todd. This
Absolutely.
is awesome. I appreciate the opportunity.
You betcha. So let's just kind of start off. There's a lot here, and I can't wait to get into it because I know your story. I've heard it before, and it's powerful. And I always admire someone, chokes me up, people who have been through so much adversity, but they found their way out of it. And you truly are an inspiration. So thank you for that, for just being willing to be vulnerable here today. Tell us a little bit about growing up and a little bit about your family.
So I grew up in Orem, Utah, and I have 5 wonderful brothers and sisters and wonderful parents. And my brothers and sisters are all really accomplished athletes. And the reason I know, Todd, I'm a really mediocre athlete is because my brothers and sisters are so good at everything.
Right.
And we grew up in a really competitive environment. We played hard. We worked hard. My dad owned a business down there, and he worked hard. And we just grew up in a really cool home. But, man, we grew up and we're kind of animals.
Right.
And so we played a lot of sports together. Grew up playing basketball and football and baseball, and it was awesome.
Where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you kind of had to show the way a little bit, right?
A little bit, but it turns out I'm the oldest and probably close to being the shortest in the family. So
yeah. You're like, oh, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
What's going on with that?
Yep.
So, so you were taught, it sounds like, at a young age to work hard and to kind of that competitive drive that kind of leads to success.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun, and still do to this day. When we all get together, there's a lot of laughs and have a really good time. But man, we were competitive and we're driven, really driven people.
Right. So, growing up, was there pressure to be the best? Did you ever feel like, that was something that you were always striving to do, kind of thing, or did you kind of just go with the flow of things, or was there that expectation?
I think there was that expectation to be great. Okay. And I think, in high school I was successful, played baseball. And, it's an interesting thing when I had gone to college. I went to college at Rick's, at the old BYU, Idaho. And my brother was then a junior and senior in high school and became this incredible athlete.
Right.
And it was a great experience, and he worked really hard and was really talented. And the issue kind of became with me, your beliefs and the things you think about yourself. And I had never thought I was going to measure up.
Right.
And I think part of that was height. Part of that was just some stuff I came with. But when my brother started to be really, really successful, I probably had, you know, in Utah County, 2,000 people walk up to me on a you know, daily basis, and kind of, you know, not every day, but essentially walk up and say, hey, what happened to you? Why are you not tall? Why are you not?
Yeah.
And you know, this kind of athlete. And it really, in the beginning, it's kind of easy to laugh it off and do whatever. And then after a little while, it really kind of starts to hit home. And it really was one of those things that really wore on me day in and day out.
Right.
And it's the comparison thing with addiction, you know,
Sure.
and everything else. We always compare people, and we do their weaknesses to our strengths,
Right.
their strengths to our weaknesses.
Mhm.
And no matter what I did, Todd, or how I felt, I was not going to be 6'7".
Yeah, you can't teach height, right?
No, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Well, you know, we did kind of chuckle at that, but that's I can see how that would be start forming a belief that I'm just not measuring up, and not about height, but just not measuring up. I'm not quite good enough, and that starts to form this belief that, you know, I know you and I, when we deal with our clients, we hear this all the time. I'm just not good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that was that, you know, no matter what anybody said, and I had incredible parents, incredible support system,
Sure.
incredible, you know, people around. The biggest piece was, you know, inside I thought, I'm just not good enough. I'm not as good as my brother. I'm not measuring up like, you know, he is. I'm not, you know, I didn't, you know, he essentially, you know, was drafted in the NBA and made, you know, $1 million in a few days. And there was no way for me to be able to kind of use that comparison.
Right. If you try to compare yourself to that, it's like that would be one of those. It would be really depressing, actually. Right.
Yeah. And it really was for me.
Yeah.
It really wore on me on a daily basis. It was really, 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 really hard.
Well, and I've had other people I've talked to kind of in a similar situation, and you being the oldest, I bet that put that little extra added pressure on because, well, I'm the oldest. Shouldn't I be the one leading the way, kind of thing? Did you ever feel that way?
And growing up, you're the example. You need to lead the way. You need to do this. You need to do that. And so there was just no way for me to kind of emotionally or in any other way be able to make sense of what was going on.
Right.
And so I really bought into, I must be something wrong with me. I must be broken. There must be something wrong.
Yeah.
And in culmination with that, I had the opportunity to go on a LDS mission to Japan. And it was really cool. My dad had served a mission in Japan. It was where I'd always wanted to go. You know, I was super excited about it. And I went out and just loved it, had an incredible opportunity. But about a year in, my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And so I got the phone call of, you can come home. We didn't know she was sick, but I got the phone call around Christmas time of, you can come home and see your mom now, or you can come home in 3 months for the funeral. And it was really, really, really devastating.
For sure.
I was able to get on a plane and go immediately home. And I can still remember Todd walking into the hospital, and my mom, who was a tiny little lady anyway, was just emaciated and thin and just all of those feelings. And she was, you know, and still is, it's hard not to talk about it without getting choked up, but she was, you know, the compass for my family. She was the lifeblood for my family. She was my best friend. She knew every bad thing I'd ever done and loved me in spite of it. And it was really, really hard. And so having some conversations with her, I thought I'd stay home and be there for the funeral. And her last kind of dying wish was that I went back out to Japan and finished my mission.
Really?
And so with about, you know, I was only there for about 10 days, turned back around, went back to Japan, and I was there when she passed away. And I had this belief at the time, and I'd been raised in such a way that if I had a mustard seed of faith, or if I was willing to do the things that people wouldn't do, I would have what people wouldn't have. And so I thought, as part of my bargaining chip with God, that if I did this, maybe mom would get better. And the other part was, I fully believed my mom would get better if I did this. I fully believed that I had just enough faith that my mom wouldn't die if I paid this price.
Yeah. By going back out
Mm-hmm.
when probably most, your heart was saying, I probably want to be around her, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so went back out, worked doubly hard,
Mm-hmm.
completely got after it. And it, within a few months, she passed away.
Wow.
And it began this process for me to really, really, really resenting and hating my God.
Yeah.
And
Like, why would you do this to me or allow this? Look what I'm doing for you.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
And it just started this resentment, and it was painful. It was hard. You and I talk with clients all the time. Resentment probably didn't hurt God,
Right.
but it just drove me
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
It really drove me mad, and it forced me to kind of start thinking about everything.
Yeah.
And so I came home that next year, served my whole mission, had a wonderful mission. And when I came home, I think I also thought, here I paid this price, done this wonderful thing. I'll be just immensely blessed. And I came home and it was super, super hard. And I just couldn't process all the feelings. I had said on my mission, I hadn't gone to a therapist. I hadn't talked about anything, and what we had done growing up was just double down and work harder.
Right.
And I think all of the resentments, all of the problems just continued. And there was no place for me I didn't know how to go to therapy. I didn't know how to talk about things.
Right.
And it just began to kind of boil over.
Yeah.
And so I can still remember I was playing softball with some friends, and I played on some really competitive teams here in Utah. And I think we were in Salt Lake, and we had played like 6 games on one Saturday, and it was the 6th game. And one of the guys had some Lortabs, and I was sore and beat up, and he said, hey, take this, it'll take the edge off and whatever else.
Right.
And 2 things happened. One, I took it, and it was that warm blanket of opiates that just took away all of my physical pain.
Yeah.
But the kicker is, for me, it also takes away all of my emotional pain. And so it was just such a relief to kind of get a respite from all of my problems for about 3 hours.
Yeah. And that, because it was constant for you up to that point, right?
Yeah, and it was just a grind.
Yeah.
I was just miserable, and I was going, and I had this crisis of faith. I had this crisis of my relationship with my Heavenly Father.
Right.
I had all these things going on, and it literally took that away.
Wow.
The second part was, in the championship game, I think I went 3 for 3 and had a really great game. And so as a superstitious athlete and baseball player, right,
Yeah.
I believed that these pills now were the magic thing.
Yeah.
Right? Not my dirty socks or underwear. It was these magic pills that it decided
It's
to.
so true, because when we're in sports, we have all these superstitions. Like, if I wear my sock a certain way, I'll play better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I had that.
Yeah.
I mean, I had certain socks I wore on
Right.
certain days, or I changed this shirt at this hour, and I really believe that these pills helped me be a better athlete. And that started me down this, at 28 years of age, started me down this road to addiction.
So before then, no substance abuse,
Really
no
nothing.
drinking, no
No.
nothing at that point?
No.
Or so, it's interesting when you say, this resentment that was building, and, resentment breeds rebellion.
Yes.
And,
I love that.
it really truly does,
Yep.
because what we do is we resent God, or we resent, the situation. And what do? We rebel against what we know is right.
Yeah.
Even. And I'm going to go blow up my life because I resent you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And so many people use drugs at somebody else, mom or dad.
Yeah.
Mom and dad
Screw
don't
you
understand me,
guys.
so I'm going to get high.
Yeah.
And it's the most fascinating thing. It doesn't hurt. It hasn't hurt mom and dad one time.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But they use at people, and you
Yeah.
do the dysfunctional behaviors at someone.
Yeah. So you start taking, these
So
opiates.
I start taking these. I find it really easy because of my family and because of my brother and because of me to walk into any doctor's office and say, hey, I'm an athlete. I got hurt. I need these prescriptions. And it was easy for me to doctor shop throughout Utah County and get Lortabs, Percocet, and then that turned to Oxycontin. And Oxycontin was, to this day, an incredible drug. I mean, it is synthetic heroin
For sure.
that, I mean, I just finished a couple of books on the opioid crisis, and Purdue Pharma made these drugs fully knowing how addictive they were. And it really didn't take many pills for that to be completely a hold of me.
Wow.
And so started using those. And this is about 10 years worth of data and problems, and
Sure.
and got married.
So you're 28 at this time,
Mm-hmm.
and were you married when you were taking these, when you
So
first started taking?
When I
them?
first started, I wasn't.
Okay.
And in the middle of this, I got married.
Got married. Okay.
She was aware of some of the issues going in, but obviously the issues just went, down.
Did your family know about, like your brothers and sisters? Did they know you were struggling with this situation?
Probably not in the beginning, but I had stolen some pills from my brother at some point, and stolen some pills from my dad and things. And so
Okay.
I'm sure, they were aware. They'd done an intervention at one point, and I'd gone to treatment and done some, tried to kind of rectify the
Right.
problems, but it was the only way I could rationally solve my own issues.
Right.
And so it was one of these things where I had, too much access to money, was too charismatic, and was too just committed to being high and staying high more than anything else, to be willing to take feedback from anybody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of that pride kicks in,
Yeah.
that ego kicks in.
Ego,
It's like, you know
pride.
what? I can do this. I'm fine.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that obviously led to other behaviors and stuff. And eventually, I'm sure, is this part of the story where it leads into you going to prison?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, ended up being, I was in Tooele County and running amok and using drugs, living out there, and just doing all this crazy stuff. I was out there, and this story was told to me on my 6th day in jail in Tooele County. One of the officers came up to me and he said, "Hey," he said, "Hansen, you're a cool guy." I said, "Thanks." And he said, "But when you're using, you're not cool."
Right.
And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, let me tell you a story you probably don't know." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "We were out here about 6 days ago, and we pulled you over because you were driving like 7 miles an hour down a main road." And he said, "When we pulled you over, the officer walked up to the car to talk to you, and you pulled forward a little bit." And I thought, well, I think I'm funny, so I probably thought I was being funny.
Right.
And the guy says, "That's not funny."
Yeah.
And he said, "So the officer walked up again, and you pulled forward a little bit." And so apparently then they called the SWAT team out, surrounded the car, and he said, "I'm the officer who cut you out of your seatbelt and dumped you on your head, which gave you the stitches you have on your head." And for the first time, Todd, in 6 days, I reached up and realized I had stitches and
you had no
staples
idea.
in my head. I had no idea. Didn't remember any of it.
Wow.
And the guy said, "You really need to not use drugs."
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
This
said,
isn't good.
"Yeah, thanks for the information."
Yeah. Right.
Would have been nice to know. But, he was really kind, really nice. But he said, "Ty, I should have shot you." He said, "If you move a motor vehicle when we're approaching, we're within our rights to shoot you because you can use that vehicle as a weapon."
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of one of those beginning kind of wake-up calls. And I was so depressed, Todd. I was so sad. I thought about ending my life in jail. I remember tying the socks up. I got left alone in a cell all alone one night. I remember tying my socks up together, thinking this is the only way out of this. I'm never going to be able to stop.
Right.
And for some reason, I couldn't. I remember putting them around my neck, and I just couldn't let my legs go. And I'm so grateful for that today. But I remember being at that point of desperation
That
where
low.
there was
Yeah.
no way out of this.
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting remanded to court back in Utah County. And my uncle happened to be one of the district attorneys there. And I walked into court, and one of my best friend's little brothers was there in court as one of the prosecuting attorneys.
Oh, okay.
And I remember having the thought, Todd, of, well, my uncle's back there, my buddy's here. I'll probably be out of this and be high in like 20 minutes. This is going to go great.
Right.
And I essentially went up, and the judge was Judge Samuel McVeigh, and he's an old Army colonel. And I went up to Judge McVeigh's court, and I had I had a attorney there, and I can't remember. I was still withdrawing and sick, and wasn't really in my right mind. And essentially, the judge said, as they always do, come to find out, Mr. Hansen, if you continue to do this, we're gonna send you to prison.
Right.
And I kind of told my attorney in no, unkind words, right? In my infinite wisdom of being sober for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Let's have him send me to prison.
Yeah.
And I kind of mumbled that through the thing, and the judge heard me and looked at my attorney, and my attorney kind of said, this is not a good idea. And the judge said, Mr. Hansen, I forthwith send you to the Utah State Prison. And Todd, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked. And they, if you go to prison, you have to be cuffed in the back. And so they immediately came up, put me down on the podium, put my hands behind my back, cuffed me behind my back, and walked me out of the courtroom into a holding cell. And in the holding cell, I began to ask my fellow inmates if I could appeal this decision to the state of Utah.
Did they start laughing at you?
Yeah, it turns out you cannot appeal
right.
that decision. And honestly, Todd, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I went up there and had the opportunity to do the Conquest program, and I had a bunch of incredible therapists, incredible friends, and people that showed up for me in my life to say, hey, the masks you wear, the person you are, the person you pretended to be are not real, and you've got to wake up. And had all these incredible experiences. And then I met a couple of people. I got to be kind of like the resident president, the unit coordinator in the prison. And if you're the one guy in prison trying to do the right thing, it's a terrible job and a terrible idea. And I got jumped and beat up, and I learned a lot about myself. But the one thing I learned, Todd, is for me to be sober and for me to be in a good place, I have to try to do the right thing, no matter what it is.
Right.
And if I'm in prison or if I'm here, and no matter what I'm doing, I have to try to be as honest and as good a guy as I can possibly be.
Right.
And so
real quick, when you get sentenced to prison and you're in prison now, what's going through your mind? Are you like, man, I need to change my life, I need to be better? Or was it still a battle of, as soon as I get out, I'm going to go probably back what I'm doing? I mean, what was your mindset when you first got there?
So the first year, you're surrounded with a whole bunch of people that are planning other crimes. And I honestly sat there and planned other crimes. I planned to get out and go this place or rob this person or do this thing. And you sit there with a bunch of people that are sick, a bunch of people that are also in that mindset, and decide, what I'm going to do when I get out. I'm going to go see this girl. I'm going to do this thing. And that's all you think about. And then there was a big shift after that first year, and the big shift was I had a couple people believe in me. I had a couple of therapists that showed up in my life and said, Ty, if you want to be a counselor, if you want to get out and do good, that's an option.
Right.
And I had so much respect, Todd, for those people and so much love for those people that I remember the thought was, why would they lie to me? But they must be lying to me because I'm such a piece of crap.
Yeah.
I'm such a terrible person. Here I am sitting in prison, and these guys are coming and lying to me. And I remember when one of them said that it was 3 days, 3 days of a battle for me, saying, why? I've never heard this person lie before. Why would he lie to me? Why would he tell me that? He knows I'm broken. He knows I can't do this. Why would he say that?
Yeah.
And it really was one of those turning points in me, but it was people loving me when I couldn't love myself.
Yeah.
And it was people stepping up for me to say, angels, living angels that just come in and say, hey, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You can do this. You can recover. You can get better. And I began to listen to those messages and take them to heart and believe them.
Yeah. It's powerful when we, even if we don't believe it in the moment, when someone's saying, hey, I believe you can do this. I believe in you. You you're gonna rise above this,
Yeah.
even when you're not even believing it in the
Yeah.
moment. But it's still powerful. There's something that kind of sparks that flame in us and going, you know what? This gives me something to push forward towards if this person thinks that I can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was the turning point, is I had some people that loved me when I couldn't love myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of those guys was a guy named Desmond Lomax. And he is a dear friend to this day. And all he said was he was just unconditional, positive regard at all times. So Ty, you can do this. You're smart. If you want to be a therapist, you could be a therapist. And it started me on this path of, when I get out, I should look into going to school.
Right.
And I had this crazy experience. So one night I'm locked up, I'm in there, and I was the librarian at the same time I was the unit coordinator. And the librarian gave me access to all the books in the prison. And so along with these beliefs, I started to look at and read, The Power of One and all of the self-help books. And I probably in 2.5 years read 300 books and was just tearing through all these things on psychology and, all this great information. And while I was in there one day putting some books away, one of the head guys from one of the gangs came in, and I had tried to do the right thing. I had stood up. I'd gotten people in trouble. I'd taken drugs out of the building. I'd really, been a good guy. And this guy came in and said, Hansen, we don't respect you. We don't like what you're doing. And you've not been a leader in this community. You've essentially, interrupted our business and caused us a lot of problems.
Right.
And it's not a good thing.
Sure.
And you and I are probably a lot alike, Todd. And I, in that moment, decided to just be Tyler Hansen and say some stuff I shouldn't say.
Right.
And I told the guy, you've been here 20 years.
Uh-huh.
You'll probably be here another 20.
Right.
And I'm not really interested in your opinion. And one of the guards was walking by and heard this interaction. And the guy left. Guy was kind enough to leave. And my one of the guards that was a friend said, that was a bad idea. That was a really poor choice. That guy is somebody here in the prison. You're really not.
Right.
He's been here a long time. He's got a lot of friends. And he said, you're going to get beat up.
Right.
He goes, that's
for
going to come
confronting
for you.
him like that. Yeah.
You should have just backed down, and
Yeah.
you're going to learn a lesson the hard way. And he said, but I love you and I care about you. So when this happens, he goes, you can't fight back. Because if you do, they win. You'll get more time. You'll be on camera fighting, and you're going to be here another 3 years. And he said, so when this guy comes, just prophetic statement, go down on both knees, put your hand behind your head, and you can go home to your kids. And sure enough, Todd, 3 days later, these guys come in and start punching me in the head from behind. And because of that conversation, I went down on both knees. I took a pretty good beating, and I got to go home to my family. And that's my biggest thing.
So ultimately you won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately you paid a price, but.
Well, but I won in a way that I never thought you win at life.
Right.
And I've been teaching people that same thing kind of ever since. And we have these issues all the time in treatment, and had another one this week in our treatment center where this guy is going to beat somebody up over a Coke or over somebody told a lie.
Yeah.
Over some crazy thing. And it's so neat to be able to go in and say, guys, I'm a therapist, I'm a business owner, and today, if I got to take a punch to go home to my little girls, I'm going to take a punch to go home.
Wow. That's awesome. Very cool. So you get to go, you leave prison, and you're on a new path now.
Yeah.
You're looking at things differently. How did your family handle all of this? And when you get out of prison, what was their response to you being out of there? And
My family, is incredible people, wonderful, wonderful people. Did not deserve to have me probably in the family, and went through. I put my family through a ton through this process, and still call my dad, maybe not daily now, maybe monthly, and apologize for some of the things that I did and
Right.
put them through. And he's very kind about it, but they struggled, and it's hard to know with the tough. It's hard to know, this was kind of in the tough love era.
Sure.
And so when I got out, they didn't want me to come home. And I paroled to some friend's house that would have me. And it was just, I'd done so much damage, hurt my reputation, used their good name, done so many horrible things that I think it was kind of a wait and see mentality. And they didn't know what to do with me. And candidly, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Right.
And so got out, paroled to some friend's house. Remember riding a bike to and from AP&P because I didn't have a license, and had to start over, with a load of clothes in a laundry basket, and that was the only thing. And so it was really hard for me to start over on my own, but I had some good friends that let me come to their house in Grantsville and helped me out, and started on the path to a life of sobriety and recovery. And I had two things happen. I had a cousin of mine allow me to go work for him at a construction company doing concrete. And that was a wonderful opportunity to realize that I did not want to do concrete the rest of my life, ever.
It's hard work, isn't it?
It was brutal,
Brutal.
long, hard days in the sun, 12-hour days. And my cousin to this day is an animal. I mean, that guy can work like nobody else, and he loves it. And I don't love it at all. And so I put myself in school. And Todd, you'll understand this. It is so easy to do your homework after coming home from a day in 100-degree heat. And I am great at school under those conditions. And also having read about 300 books,
right?
Knowing how to now not be the dumb jock, but be academically, a good student.
Sure.
I excelled in school and graduated and became a substance abuse counselor.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's just been incredible.
Incredible ride, man.
Yeah.
So you've now been clean. We mentioned in the beginning over 8 years, and obviously you're doing some really good things. And I had a friend tell me once, a very famous friend, Simon Sinek. He said, if you master the first steps of AA, the first 11 steps of AA, you will drink again.
Yeah.
If you master step 12, you'll never touch another drop.
Yep.
And I bring that up, and the reason why is because it's really what you're doing is you are out there now giving back and helping other people along the way.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that and how that's strengthened you moving forward.
And it's a great point, Todd. I completely agree with that across the board. I've had so many people show up for me when I didn't deserve it, and when I couldn't see the forest through the trees, and love me when I couldn't love myself, that being able to show up for them has been just a life-changing thing for me.
Right.
And I love to, therapy and counseling and everything isn't because I have all the answers.
Right.
It's essentially because I don't, but I want to sit with people in their pain and walk through the pain because I know how wonderful it is on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's been so wonderful to, now own a treatment center and work with people and get to go back into the jail and back into prison and sit with people in their worst moments and say, guys, this gets better.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that because that's a really cool thing. It's the RISE program, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And talk about that because that's got to be a little surreal. Here you are, you went through prison, and now you're coming back to the same place, talking to them, going, hey, I've been in your shoes, and look what I get to do now.
Mm-hmm.
To talk about that experience and how that's, been, for you.
One of the most horrible sounds, and I still have PTSD to this day, is that gate shutting.
Oh, yeah.
And I really had some tender experiences in jail and prison where if God exists and the Savior walks on this earth, he is in those doors helping people that are at their worst moments.
Yeah.
And it's just been wonderful. And the Utah County Jail and Utah State Prison have been so kind to let me go back in and share my experiences and be part of people's recovery. And the RISE program really was kind of James Childs and Sheriff Tracy and a couple other people's brainchilds. And it was, we're going to bring back some people that have been through some terrible things and let them meet with the guys and work on a transition plan for everybody. So, and especially Utah County Jail, I think years ago, you got out, they let you go right there at the door. You went down to the gas station, you tried to hitch a ride home. It was a bad deal.
Yeah, sure.
And now having access to sober livings and treatment and different resources that people actually need, it's been really nice to be able to go in and say, hey, we've got you a bed at this treatment center. We've got you a bed at that treatment center. We're going to get you out. We're going to give you a chance.
Yeah. And put them in a different environment.
Yep.
Yeah. With some structure still and that kind of thing.
And that was my biggest experience in prison, was seeing people I loved go back out and come back within a month or a week because they got out and they were under the viaduct and they went on track someplace and there was nobody there for them. They had the $200 that they had when they got out of prison, and or mom and dad came to pick them up with a bag of meth and a 6-pack of beer. And they didn't know a different life. No matter what they wanted to do, if you get out and you're homeless and you have to drink to stay warm, you don't have a shot at it.
Yeah, you don't have a shot. Wow. Well, so what an amazing program, but also it fills a very vital need for those people leaving prison, right?
Yeah. And you've seen the prisons done a better job of transitioning people out and giving them access to resources. And those programs are vital, Todd, because, and this is just for me, guys, prison doesn't help. We should incarcerate people we're scared of, not people we're mad at.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in there with drug, charges that deserves to be locked up with a bunch of people that have the same disease they do.
Right.
We've proven over and over again, there's no benefit. It doesn't work. It doesn't help. The only thing we've ever proven that we can cure as a society by locking people up together is leprosy. Yeah. And that we gave them their own island and hope they died.
Right.
And so access to treatment, access to resources, a bed, a therapist, a warm hug, a handshake goes a lot farther than any incarceration does.
Yeah, we hear all the time, connection's the opposite of addiction.
Yeah.
And connection is so powerful. And that's what I hear you're doing in that program is when they leave, you're connecting them. Yeah. You're connecting them with resources, like you said, but more importantly, with people, again, who care. Yeah. Who care about you. And I'm like, hey, kind of like how those guys reached out to you and says, I know you can do this. You're going to be successful. And you're looking at them going, how? I don't see that. Yeah. But that initial connection you had there, look what that led to for you. Yeah.
And so here's the, Desmond Lomax story is he's this incredible person. He was this linebacker at BYU. He worked for the Utah County Sheriff's Office and went back to school, got his degree, becomes this incredible human. We crossed paths in the prison. He was not my therapist, but he'd come in and we'd have these little conversations of how do you do this and how do you do that and these leadership things. And then I got out and I would call him. And I would check in with him. And he would say the same thing, Todd. He would say, you would expect, hey, I graduated school or I got married in the temple and I did all these things. And you would expect one time for him to go, good job. Nice job. And every time I called Desmond, he would say, you're just getting started. You got more to do. You got to keep going. Yeah. You got more to do. Yeah. And he just has become one of my best friends. And now he is retired from the state of Utah. He was one of the executives up there at APMP, and he's now the executive director of First Steps Recovery Centers.
Oh, right on.
And so I get to hang out with him every day again. and we can do it, and it's a better scenario.
For sure.
But he's just one of those people that makes everybody want to be better.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I have a few questions as I listen to your story. The first one I have is, we talked about early in this belief cast that you being the oldest and just kind of having, I mean, it just comes with the territory. You kind of have this pressure. I've got to be the example to my younger siblings and that kind of thing. How do your siblings view you now, do you think? I mean, seeing what you've been through, what you're doing now, and again, I know I'm asking maybe a tough questions because you're not a mind reader, but you can tell how they interact with you. How do they feel about you now?
The best part of this whole thing, Todd, is the relationship I have with my dad and the relationship I have with my brothers and sisters. And I've really put them through a lot. And they've been kind enough to forgive me in all this.
Yeah.
And, man, that forgiveness is empowering.
Yeah.
And it's really, especially, I talk to my dad probably every day.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time when we had a different relationship, and it was hard.
Yeah.
And it turns out, the more sober I am, the smarter my dad has gotten.
Right.
And he
So
may
true.
have been that smart the entire time.
Yeah.
I've just learned to listen to him.
Yeah.
But the relationship I have with him is one of the most special things.
Wow. Well, the reason I bring that up is, I really believe this, and you'll agree. I know it, even without asking you beforehand. But addiction is your wake-up call to your greatness.
Yeah.
Or you could say it a different way, too. Adversity is your wake-up call to greatness. So
I love that.
here you go through all of this, and it was as if it was a wake-up call, Tyler, to your greatness. And we talk about being a leader as being the oldest sibling, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, look what you went through and how you overcame it and the work you've put in. You truly are that leader to your siblings. Because, and I know you don't look at it that way, but I'm just saying it's interesting how that still played out that, hey, this is how you do it if you're struggling and overcoming something.
and
I think that's powerful.
I'm not great and mediocre leader at best and a lot of things, Todd, but I had a blessing at a young age, and in that blessing, I spent a lot of time in the LDS faith being ridden with shame and guilt.
Right.
And never going to be good enough, and never going to be able to do that, and I've done this and I've done that, and I can't come back, and it was never the case. That was simply something that was created in my mind that
Right.
made things worse.
In your own mind, yeah.
And I think the reality of it is, I had this blessing at a young age, and it said, you'll follow the Savior, do these good things, and you'll have the ability to bless and heal the sick. And even that blessing, Todd, for me, I thought, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. Right? And I can go to medical school, right? And you interpret it in your own 16-year-old way, right?
You're like, oh,
and it was at 18, I didn't get into medical school. I couldn't do organic chemistry. I was not smart enough, right, to do this. And it was God got it wrong, shame and guilt. I'm never going to measure up.
Yeah.
I'm never going to add up. And then today you come full circle and how prophetic those words were,
right?
Because and that's all I want to do.
Yeah. Well, that was leading into my next question, actually, because you had mentioned, obviously, what, losing your mom while you're on your mission. Very difficult time, obviously, for anybody to go through that. And, you were angry at God. You resented him. You mentioned it was all, you went kind of through this faith crisis. I think I already know what you're going to say, but where are you at now? And are those resentments completely resolved with you and your, as you say, your Father in heaven?
Yeah. You go through this entire process and you think, well, God left me, God abandoned me in those moments. And then you, like the poem says, you find out he carried you through all of it.
Yeah. The footsteps.
And he had a plan the whole entire time. This was all part of it. It all adds up. It all makes sense. Yeah. It was the horrible way to go about it. But looking back at it now, Todd, and believing kind of what I believe, it's easy to say, this is what I signed up for.
Right.
And this was the entire experience I had to have to be where I am today because, the peace I have today, the relationship I have with my kids and my family and my wife and the people I work with is just so special to me. And it's because of kind of that refining, piece of really having the rough edges kind of cut off and going through it. And I'm still learning.
Sure.
I'm still getting better all the time. The things that bothered me last year don't bother me this year.
Yeah.
So
you just keep improving, keep doing your thing.
but being a parent is wonderful, and having 5 kids is teaching me a lot about all this stuff. And there's so much you want to worry about and so much you want to do. And being a therapist is a terrible, terrible thing with relationships, because, I try to therapize everybody in my life. And I think my wife's tired of being therapized.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife says, don't therapize me. I'm like, okay. I learned early on.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. So I can guarantee there's some listeners right now who are struggling listening to your story, but also I'm sure they're feeling inspired as well. If there is a challenge or some advice that you could give someone right now who's hearing your story and they're struggling and they're maybe feeling hopeless and not know where to go, what's maybe some advice or a challenge that you could give them?
I talk to people all the time. I think my biggest thing I would say to people is go forgive somebody that you're mad at. I have a good friend named Dan Roberts, and he happens to be the announcer for the Jazz.
Oh yeah.
And you ought to have. He's just a phenomenal. I mean, the stories he has.
I would love to have him on.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
He's phenomenal, and he's been there since the inception of.
Yeah, I mean, he's the voice, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows it. Like, if you don't know the name, then you're, that's him.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
And he and I became really good friends when I was in my addiction and going through my stuff. And there was one day when I called Dan, and this is just the kind of guy Dan is. Said, "Hey, I'm going to do this business thing," and I was lying to him.
Right.
I'm going to do this business thing. I need $10,000. I'll pay it back to you, whatever. And Dan brought me. Next day, hey, meet me for lunch. Brought me a check for $10,000.
Wow.
No questions asked. No big deal. Complete trust. Complete love. And I took that $10,000 and got high, and that was when I got arrested and went to prison. And so I spent 2.5 years grinding on this money that I'd stole, this thing that I'd done. And when I got out, of course, went through the steps, right?
Right.
And you have, make amends. And go through this whole thing. And because I'm a coward, right, I found his address online, and I decided I would send him some money, and I would just start paying this debt off. And it was not a lot of money, Todd.
Yeah.
And I did this thing and sent it to him. And it was the one, everybody has these things that you can never be forgiven for in your mind. Yeah. And there's too bad, they're too terrible. This person I've hurt too deeply.
Yeah.
And I started sending him these checks. And one day I got home from work and I had this voicemail, and it said, "Ty, we love you. Thank you for sending the money. It's not about the money. Clearly you figured some things out you didn't know before, and keep paying me if you think you need to pay me. But I'm so grateful for your friendship and so love you."
Wow.
And that relationship has just been phenomenal, because he was willing. This kid that came in and screwed him worse than anybody probably ever has, he was willing to forgive me.
That's awesome.
And last year I paid him, the last of the money, Todd. And those things in my life, forgiving, I've been the unforgivable, right? Forgiving those people and reaching out to those people that have hurt you and doing those hard things, I think, is what life is all about.
Wow, that is powerful. Very powerful. And I couldn't agree more. What a great challenge for all of us is, if there's someone that you're resenting, forgive them. Because again, like we talked about early on in your story, these resentments that had built up, look what it led to. I mean, it led to you kind of blowing up your life. Not kind of, blowing up your life.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that solves a lot of things, and I think that's a great challenge for everyone. I really think that's awesome.
Well, I think with this new world we have, and grieving the old world, and the process of the virus and all these different things, I hope we learn the lessons of connection.
Yeah.
And that this thing could all go away in a matter of months or in a matter of days. And what are your relationships? Reach out to those people that you have resentment. And handle that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because there's not one time I've done it, Todd, that it hasn't been just beautiful.
Beautiful. I love it. Thanks for that. Well, if someone wanted to reach out to you and get to know you better or learn more about steps and the things that you do, and Rise, the program, all of that, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
My email is tylerh@ steps, RC for recoverycenter.com.
Okay.
Anybody's willing to contact me there. My Instagram's Ty Hansen. And then through Steps Recovery Centers here in Utah, we have 10 facilities, and reach out through any of that. I'd love to help and talk to people and have incredible friends like yourself, Todd, and anything possible.
Thank you. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for spending an early morning Saturday with me and for all of us to come and share your amazing story. And, I love your vulnerability. I think that's what makes you you. Yeah. I felt that today, and I want to thank you that it's been my honor to sit here with you today and hear it.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, there you go, folks. Another amazing story. I mean, man, life is amazing. And like what Tyler was saying, how important that connection is. And I think through this belief cast, we're all connecting right now. And so take that challenge that he said, go forgive someone. And I know it's not the easiest thing to do. It's tough, but remember, when you forgive, it releases the resentment and you no longer want to rebel. So it's truly a blessing for yourself as well. So please share this with anyone you know that might be struggling. And I want to thank, again, all of you for believing in me. So many listeners, so many comments, so many people are connecting with this. And it wouldn't be possible without people like Tyler and all the guests that I've had on and our sponsor, Veracity Networks. I just feel so blessed to be sitting here, honestly. So once again, thanks for being on here, Tyler.